the system is the brain, programmed behavior, and the promise of the frontal lobe. And 21 is a good read. 30, the system, biological basis, and 31, the reasons for it, a spiritual account, and more on the Great War. So if we protect ourselves, if we prove ourselves to our forefathers, so let's finish up on this. This apocalypse is, so if we prove ourselves to our forefathers and come together as a race, then we will inherit this shielding technology, which will protect us from solar flares, asteroids, and harmful radiation, which I was mentioning in Q30, that we need to bridge the gaps and between religions and come together as a race to protect ourselves and evolve ourselves so that God can come to us, or we can go to God instead of God coming to us. I mean, all of our prophets dying, and isn't that enough proof in all the prophecies of the hidden Aman and the flag being raised in Yemen and it happening, and all of this corruption, anti-corruption beginning to happen? It's not anti-corruption, it's the need to change, and we have to be very careful in how we describe change, and cannot be violent. It's just going to end up hurting our civilization and evolution, because you can't go through violent change like this. It will just upset the economy, and if you have no money, you're not going to be able to have a country. So I mean, there's a smooth way to do things, and it'll be even better now, because all the enlightened people are soon going to be coming out by force to make the change positive instead of violent, by enlightening people. Finding and binding secret knowledge from every religion. This is very important. It's Q4 and it'll help you explain everything between the religions, and that there's actual physical documentation and quotes from the Quran and from from the hidden Iman, from the greater occultation, and there's also Moses, proof in Moses, proof in Exodus, and proof from Jesus' actual words, and King James. And it will help provide the correct information for you to continue or to gauge your interest in this. I really do hope that you have the patience to continue reading all this. It's not a one bang thing. It's a total system of thought. It says it goes from biology to science to physiology to chemistry to spirituality to physics to quantum dynamics to possible theories, understanding why string theories is true but not true, and then there is the not so secret Illuminati world. Secret Star Wars death rays, which classified information will show that slight modifications will change the targeting into space and not just to Earth. As 9,000 years ago, as told in the Mahabharata, we were all invaded by a race of space aliens that conquer natural resources like many other races do. It is the survival of the fittest, but these aliens were different. But in general, there are a lot of races out there that conquer for resources, but they just come and kill everybody and take everything by force. Therefore, when the truth is revealed, the need to join God, which will be the need of all religions from each society to reveal secret knowledge from each, and jumpstart a mental evolution, as we all have no choice to endure the pains of change that spiritual evolution has started since the 9/11 event in 2001, a forced spirituality, a reacted, violent spirituality. For example, the pains of change will first come as guilt and disgust, as we will have to forgive ourselves for being terrible homekeepers and destroyers of tens of thousands of helpless species. Then we will need to stop hating others for being ignorant for everything. Then, for the system, much of this is covered. It's 30 and 31, as I mentioned earlier. I don't know what 30 and 31. 30 and 31, and 20 and 21, that keep us in mental and spiritual, not darkness, as we all had all the information in books, the internet, and symbols that are symbolic in every different religions and institutions. Then we realized that if conspiracy theories were true, then the asteroid in the early 21st century was Marduk, or that which was explained above as God's wrath, or 2/3 of the planet Earth's innocent population disappearing, also with the solar flares, which miraculously there's no solar activity, which is impossible. And or I would think more of they're thinking that it's 2/3 of the world, meaning all of Mesopotamia or most of Mesopotamia at that time, because that was their world. I'm very firm that it had to be the R7s, or more descriptively the R3 to 4s coming back repeatedly, pounding the earth until the shields went down, and then it would have caused trial by fire or burning of the earth. So now one must truly look outside the box and into the looking glass. And there's symbolism here. The looking glass means kind of like having a very clear mind into what's going to happen, and an esoteric meaning or secret society meaning. And gnosis, what it means is basically, if you do the researching on the internet, all the information is there. And what it basically means is that sometimes it could be referenced to outside looking in, open-minded, but it could also mean that you're looking into the future. So if that's the case, then 2/3, that means that if you have a family of 6, then 4 of those people are evil. Then for every 3 humans and 2 animals are evil and dead. I don't get that. It's so random. And then you have all those floodings and there's hundreds of thousands of people dying. How could they all be evil? If you have the changes associated by 2012, interpreted correctly by merging all secrets from every religion, it's applicable. Perhaps the key to opening the Philosopher's Stones is possible. Now, why would some group who had the superior intelligence to transmute metal into gold call it a Philosopher's Stone? As Jesus said, lift a piece of stone and I am there, as he explained in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, this does not relate, but what I'm going to do is apply these principles as a philosopher's stone. Now, with this frame of open mind, we can gaze into the looking glass. Rather than instruct it, like Saddam Hussein did, or tried, so then every second human is not evil, and not currently dead. Then the foreseen deluge by Michael Nostradamus and Michelangelo must be the 2004 event, or the 2004 tsunami. So, I mean, there's parameters to everything, and that's what the looking glass, you have to ask it the right questions. It can give you the right answers, because the stored data in that hologram matrix, kind of like what iRobot, when he talks to the founder, he says that I cannot answer that question. Please ask the right questions for me to answer. So you have to continually ask it. Now, there's only one way you can get around that, by installing one or more chips into it and changing the data, but not changing the data, but changing reality to change the data. And then there's the other thing where there's ciphers and there's keys to actually show the secret meanings. But let's prove some things first right now. So we go to Exodus, and I want to first bring in the Muslim religion, and we go to Musa, and Exodus 24:15-18. When Moses went up to the mountains, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the seventh day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain, like rockets. And cloud looks like a spaceship, a silver spaceship, metallic. Excuse me. Then Moses entered and went into the clouds, and entered the cloud as he went up the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Then the clouds must be a spaceship, a specification by a language barrier. However, what Moses says next is not speculation, as he says, I saw the whole of the round of the earth. How could he know that the earth was round unless he saw it from space? And then he says something like he could see everything in it, referring to it as seeing the inhabitants and the fields and the forests from a distance, like from a peak. As everything reduces the further you go back in size and scope. And it's much like how you have the Nazca lines in Peru, where you can only see the stone shapes of animals and an alien. And what they are arguing and saying is that these are the races that have been on this planet. And you have to go thousands of miles up into the sky to see them. So it's like a map or a codex saying that these are the people that are here or have been here. And a lot of the times places are marked or protected, which they are on Earth. And to come here and try to take our resources is war. So